The observation chamber hung in perfect silence, suspended in the void between dimensions. Ashley pressed her palm against the crystalline barrier, watching the human specimen below with clinical detachment. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed rhythmically. Across her elongated skull, the Verdani, equivalent of a satisfied smile. Subject designation, Alex 779, she announced to the Council of Ascended Beings.
Species Homo sapiens.
Origin Earth Orion Arm Milky Way Galaxy. Test status, complete failure. The holographic forms of 12 apex species shimmered around the chamber. The Krell Overmind existing as pure thought, the Zephyrini Collective. Their consciousness spread across 1 billion crystalline nodes. The ancient progenitors who had seeded galaxies before Earth's sun ignited, all had gathered to witness humanity's final examination. Another disappointing result, wheezed the Krell representative, its voice echoing through quantum channels. This species shows promise in theoretical frameworks, yet collapses under practical implementation. They possess rudimentary faster-than-light theory, but cannot properly modulate their drive cores. They understand quantum mechanics but build weapons before healers. Ashley nodded, her triple-jointed fingers dancing across holographic controls. The test parameters were clear. Subject Alex was placed in a standard diplomatic crisis scenario. 3 hostile factions, limited resources, a countdown to planetary annihilation. The optimal solution path requires 17 precise actions in 23 minutes. And his performance? Asked a progenitor, its voice like grinding continental plates. Catastrophic divergence from optimal path at decision node 3. Emotional compromise at node 7. Complete strategic collapse at node 15. Ashley's markings flickered amber, disappointment mixed with something else. Curiosity, perhaps. He chose violence when diplomacy was prescribed. He sacrificed strategic assets for tactically insignificant individuals. He prioritized emotional bonds over logical efficiency. The human in question sat in the testing chamber below, still strapped to the neural interface chair. Alex looked unremarkable by human standards. Brown hair, average build, wearing the standard gray jumpsuit all test subjects received. His eyes were closed, breathing steady as the simulation's neural feedback dissipated from his consciousness. Seal him back in stasis. The Zephyrini Collective harmonized. Mark this species as insufficient in our records. They are not ready for ascension. Perhaps in another 100,000 years. Wait? Ashley's markings flared violet. He's awakening. Protocol suggests we should erase his memory and return him to... Alex's eyes snapped open. The neural interface chair exploded outward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Alex stood, brushing fragments of technology from his shoulders with casual indifference. Around his body, reality itself seemed to shimmer and distort, the residual effects of the simulation's neural matrix refusing to release him properly. Or was it something else? Interesting, Alex said, his voice carrying a weight that made the observation chamber's walls vibrate. You run a test designed for your species' psychology and expect mine to follow your optimal paths. Ashley's markings blazed red. Alarm. Impossible. The neural safeguards should have kept him unconscious for another 6 hours. The feedback should have scrambled my consciousness into paste. Alex looked directly at the observation chamber, though it existed in a pocket dimension supposedly imperceptible to unevolved species. His eyes locked onto Ashley's. Your technology is impressive. It's also predictable. The Krell Overmind surged forward. This is impossible. No mortal species can perceive this chamber. We exist 17 dimensions removed from... 18 dimensions, actually. Alex corrected, walking toward a wall that from his perspective in the testing chamber should have been solid. His hand passed through it like smoke. You missed the subspatial fold in your calculations. Rookie mistake. He stepped through the wall and into the observation chamber. Chaos erupted. The Zephyrini Collective's consciousness fractured in shock. The progenitor's holographic forms destabilized. Ashley stumbled backward, her biological impossibilities confronting something even more impossible. A human who shouldn't be able to do what he was doing. You failed the test, she managed. Her voice barely a whisper. Every metric, every measurement... Your test, Alex interrupted. Designed by species who evolved past conflict through biological ascension. Who solved scarcity through matter replication. Who eliminated suffering through neural harmonization. He smiled, and there was something predatory in it, something that reminded the assembled godlike beings that they had once been prey animals too, billions of years ago. Humans evolved differently, he continued. We climbed to sentience through an ice age that killed most of our ancestors. We built civilizations on a planet that tried to murder us with volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and diseases. We reached for the stars from a gravity well so deep it should have trapped us forever. Alex walked past Ashley, approaching the council's central platform. None of the assembled beings moved to stop him. They couldn't. Every defensive system in the chamber was designed to counter threats they understood. This was something else. Your test measured how closely I followed the optimal path you calculated, Alex said. But here's what you didn't account for. Humans don't follow optimal paths. We create new ones. You said I chose violence when diplomacy was prescribed? I ended a 3-way war in 7 minutes instead of watching 17 days of negotiation while millions died. You said I sacrificed strategic assets for tactically insignificant individuals? I saved a child who became the catalyst for peace because I understood something your calculations couldn't. He stopped at the edge of the platform, looking up at the towering holographic forms. You said I prioritized emotional bonds over logical efficiency? Of course I did. That's the entire point. Logic is a tool. Efficiency is a method. But humanity? We're the species that looked at a universe of entropy and heat death and said, not today. We're the species that turned emotional bonds into our greatest strength instead of evolving past them. The Krell overmind pulsed with anger. You failed the test, human. You are unworthy of... Then why? Alex asked quietly. Are you still breathing? Silence crashed through the chamber like a physical force. Your defensive systems activated the moment I entered this space, Alex continued. Quantum disruptors, molecular decohesion fields, probability weapons that unwrite targets from causality itself. I counted 17 different ways you tried to kill me in the last 90 seconds. Ashley checked her instruments with trembling fingers. Every defensive system showed green. Every weapon reported successful firing. Every kill confirmation had been logged. Impossible, she whispered. Your weapons work on species that evolved in universes governed by your physics, Alex explained. Humans evolved in a universe that doesn't care about us. We adapted to impossibility. We made it our natural state. He turned to leave, then paused. The test was never about whether I could follow your optimal path, Alex said. It was about whether you could recognize a path you'd never calculated. You can keep watching humanity from your pocket dimension, marking us as insufficient in your records. But we'll keep doing what we do best, surviving things that should kill us, solving problems that should be impossible, and reaching for tomorrow even when logic says there isn't one. Alex walked back through the wall, back into a reality that made sense by human standards, if not by any others. Ashley stood frozen, her markings cycling through colors that had no name in her language. Around her, the council of ascended beings remained silent. Finally, the Krell Overmind spoke. What do we do? Ashley looked at the spot where Alex had vanished, then at her instruments that insisted he'd never been there at all. Her markings settled into a deep blue, the Verdani color for awe mixed with existential terror. We update our records, she said softly. Mark humanity as insufficient if that makes you comfortable. But I recommend we add one more notation. What notation? Asked a progenitor. Ashley's markings flared bright gold, the color of genuine respect. Approach with extreme caution.